Hey guys, Dan here from Fun Filled Outfitters. We're going to talk a little bit about entomology and tie a couple flies for you today, specifically caddis-flies. This is a pupa pattern that I'm tying for you, which is, an emerging caddis. I'm going to tie it in green today because there's at least 5 different species of caddis down on the Lower Deschutes that have green larvae and thus green pupas. Those are spotted caddis, green caddis, and then your case caddis, your weedy water, saddle case, and granums, aka Mother's Day caddis. You can also tie this in tan or orange, but I think all of tan and orange should cover almost all your caddis species down there. So this is a pattern that fish are real used to seeing from May until September. It's a great searching pattern even when there's not a hatch going on, and it's a great imitation during a hatch. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and jump into tying for you here. So I'm starting this fly with a Tiemco 2457. It's a curved nymph hook and a 2.3 millimeter nickel Brite bead for the weight. I like dark colored beads on here because caddis generally have dark colored heads. I'm also using, this is Danville 3.0 flat waxed. I like to use a heavy thread on this one because that vinyl ribbing can be a bit sticky and a bit tough to work with, so I like to use a nice heavy thread. We're going to start with the thread base all the way back into the bend of the hook just a little bit here, and we're going to jump back up. Notice where I started my thread. I'm leaving at least a bead's length of bare hook shank, and that's going to come into play and be pretty crucial earlier. So I'm going to leave my thread there at about the 2/3 point. I'm going to go ahead and tie in some UTC Vinyl Rib. This is the same stuff. It also comes in these bags from Hairline. Comes in different colors. One of the really cool things about this is, well, not only does it give these flies a very realistic look, but it's very durable. And one of the other cool things is that whatever you kind of do inside the body, the rib is going to reflect whatever you do on the inside. So it makes for a pretty cool kind of translucent look with these guys, and you can play with different color combinations. I'm going to start that with just a couple wraps right there, and then this has a flat side, and I'm going to flatten it and go all the way down with nice tight wraps to where my thread ended there. Give it a couple good ones there because that's where you're going to start your wraps. For the rib and underbody on this guy, I'm going to use Pearlescent Fly Flash from Spirit River in Rainbow. And we're going to start this right where we did our vinyl rib up here. And give this a couple counterclockwise spins to cord it up and make it jump backwards if you need. Okay, we're going to go ahead and take that back to the same spot where we ended for vinyl rib. Jump back forward. And with this stuff, you don't need a ton of this stuff. You don't need to completely coat the body because the vinyl rib is really going to translate a lot of this shine through. So just a good open spiral rib here is all you really need. And yeah, it doesn't have to be durable because the vinyl rib is going over it. Go ahead and capture those strands right there. Give them a trim. So one of the tricks with this vinyl tubing is that if you wrap under the body, you come over the top when you need to tie in, and then your thread torque will want to loosen it as you go. So I'm going to wrap this over the top, and then you'll see when I tie it off, it'll keep that tension on there. These first couple wraps can be a little tricky sometimes. Sometimes you'll need to go in with your fingernail and kind of push them together to make sure they're nice and uniform. We don't want to overlap, just nice touching wraps through here. Gives us a nice segmented look to the body. Now our tie-off point. So this is where I was saying, because we're wrapping over the top of this, we're keeping that tension on there, and it's not going to want to unravel on us at all here. sandwich wrap that guy so it really doesn't go anywhere. A couple in front, a couple behind. Trim her off nice and close there. Make sure everything's looking good. Okay. There's our body. At this point, we're going to go ahead and make that's probably like a 4-inch dubbing loop, something like that. Make sure you go around here so your materials stay nice and tight in there. And you can advance that thread just up there. Not too far because we still have some stuff to do behind the bead here. At this point, let me go ahead and grab some, this is Hairline Hare's Ear Plus in olive. This stuff is great. It's got some hare's ear, which makes it, you know, nice and buggy, but it also has some translucent quality to it, which is going to give it a nice kind of shroud effect on there. And you'll see what I mean once we get it in this dubbing loop here. What the hell happened there? Oh, there we go. So I'm going to take that and stick it all the way up to the top of that dubbing loop. And we're going to go ahead and spin. I'm going to keep this pinched right here while I'm spinning, so that when I let go of my fingers here, everything's going to spin nice and quick for me without trapping any fibers on there. Like that. More spins. My handy dandy toothbrush here. That's just going to kind of pull out any trapped fibers that were in there. And you really don't need much of this stuff. We're just trying to create a nice little shroud that's kind of encircling that. And we want it to move. The more materials you try to stack in there on top of each other, they're going to keep, each fiber is going to keep each other from moving. If you only have a little bit in there, everything will kind of move independently. So yeah, we're going to palmer this back and go ahead and just give a couple good wraps in there. Literally like a wrap and a half. And that is all we need from that. That's all we're looking for. Go ahead and tie your dubbing loop off. Clean that up just a hair. Now, as you can see, we have this cool little shroud kind of encasing our body there. Cool. I'm going to take a little bit of black UV ice dub. I use this stuff in everything. I love this stuff. The heads of these caddis, the larvae are usually black, so that's kind of the theory behind that. Also, the legs are black. We're going to put a little soft hackle on here to kind of represent the legs, but this stuff being a little bit buggy on there definitely doesn't hurt. So I'm just going to give that 2-3 wraps. That's all you need. Cool. And notice we've still got a little bit of space behind our bead here, which is crucial. So for the soft hackle on this fly, I'm going to use Starling skins from Hairline. These are great alternative to Hungarian partridge or some other traditional soft hackle fibers. They're inexpensive, they're strong, they have really cool sheen, almost like peacock-ish, kind of iridescence, and they have really good movement. They have webby fibers that have really good movement. And also you get a good selection of different sizes to choose from. You can see this one's been picked through pretty well already. So I'm just going to grab this guy, and you can kind of measure him as far as like how far you want that to extend back. That one looks about right. I'm going to strip off the bottom end of this stem here that I don't need, and I'm going to tie this in with the thick side first. That means when I get up to the tip, I'm going to have a nice clean tie-off point rather than trying to tie off a thick stem at the bottom there. So spoon side facing down on the fly. Couple good wraps there. Pull her back, give one in front. Trim that guy. Come up, pull down a little triangle off the tip there, and grab her with your hackle pliers. And if you pull this straight up and kind of tease these fibers back as you go, it'll make it a little easier to wrap. We really only need 2, maybe 3 wraps of this stuff. We don't want to make it real bulky or anything like that. I think that's going to be plenty right there. Those 2, maybe 3. Give one in front of there. That's looking pretty good. If you have these kind of antron fibers that are extending past the end of your body, you can just reach in and kind of pinch them. Break them off with your nail. Or if they're really being severed, you can come through it with your scissors and get some of that out of there. And there we go. Now all that's left is a whip finish. And we're done. There's your little caddis pupa.